Hi, Andre.
Hey, Mum.
It's good to see you again.
It's great to see you.
And it's Christmas time, exciting time of life, isn't it?
It's really exciting. It's really exciting. I was out and about yesterday and heard the first Christmas carols that I've heard for the year. So it's always a nice when you hear
and
this.
sometimes it's not a happy time for some people, though.
I can imagine it's very, very stressful. I mean, there's a lot of money being spent. There's a lot of, events.
And also people have lost people, so sometimes people feel very alone at Christmas as well.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so it can be some people just don't like Christmas.
Yeah.
So my heart goes out. I think it's meant to be mindful about other people. We might find it exciting and fun. We've got family, but not everybody has that, or they're hurt or going through. Or it could be a really hard time for people that are going through.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's great for us, and I think it's good, not always good for some people. So to be mindful about that, I think it's important.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's really interesting because of the time people watch this podcast, it could possibly, I'm not sure, it could end up in 2025. So 2025 is going to be an interesting year.
Mm-hmm.
The 25 adds up to a 7. I love 7, your 7 life path. So 7's all a lot about sensitivity, nature, compassion, empathy, caring, healing, very healing as well. And the 2 is about coming together in a unison, 2 people together. It's also about being there for psychic energy as well. So it's a psychic energy and partnership. The 5 is about getting balance and going forward in a good way. It's also 2025 adds up to a 9, which is really interesting. So it's about completion. So it's very much about completion. So if you think about the last decade, I'd say New Zealand, for instance, we had the shootings in Christchurch. We had a global pandemic that's affected the whole world. We'd had all these wars, and we've also had like the economy's been terrible and really hard. So it's like winding up in 2025. That things should be completed and come to an ending. It's also it's a beautiful energy around 9s because it's also about a knowing and support from the spirit world and the angels as well for next year as well. So I think it's not a bad year. I think it will be cushioned, and I think things will be completed in 2025.
Well, that's very comforting.
Yeah. So I must get a numerologist along as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. I love numerology.
How am I a 7 life path? How does that work?
It's what your date of birth adds up to.
Oh, right.
So you're one day born, which affects you, and your life path is 7. So add all your date of birth together, and it comes to 7.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have studied numerology, but I'm not going to do a podcast on it because I just feel like I'm not an expert, and I'd rather interview someone who's a real expert in that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's always good to hear from
I
an expert.
love numbers, so I think it's great.
Cool.
So we're going to hear talk about psychic readings today, aren't we?
Yes, we are. So you call yourself a psychic.
Psychic medium.
Psychic medium, and you've explained what psychic and mediumship is in past podcasts.
Yes.
So what can you expect from a psychic reading
What most people
generally, or what do most people expect? Because I've never had one. I've never experienced it. Can you maybe explain, reiterate what psychic is to start off with?
Okay, so psychic, it's a difficult one, this one. So the reality of psychic is that it's about energy. So everybody's got an aura, so an electromagnetic field that contains information about your past, present, potential for your future. It's got information about your health. It's got information about your financial situation. It's got information about people in your life. It's even got information about your past. It's got a lot of information in your energy. That's why when somebody you don't know gets too close to you, people can sort of say, you're getting into my space, getting into my field, because it's quite private.
Okay. And
the psychic energy is also just it can also be things that you pick up about people, pick up something about people, or you walk into a room, you can tell someone's in an argument, or you go into a house and it's got energy or bad energy, or you just feel things from people. You're personally, that situation, I've got a gut feeling, I sense, I feel. It's everybody's individual ability to have a sense and feeling. So it comes from within you. It's all about you. Saying that is that the spirit world use your psychic senses to communicate. So some people just work as a psychic. So they just work on people not connecting to spirit. I do both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what a psychic energy is. It's not, I don't really believe in fortune telling, as I've talked about before, but I do feel that a psychic has the ability to read and to actually have some sense and potential for the future. I definitely feel that. So people seek out a psychic, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
I first got into this because I had a broken relationship. My marriage had broken down, a relationship broken down, and I just felt absolutely rock bottom. And I didn't know where to turn, and I was quite anxious, to be honest, about the future.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about the future quite often, and
Mm-hmm.
so I actually the first psychic reading I had was probably the best ones I ever had. It was very true. It was very real, and I sort of really got into it. So people will come to you because they're feeling anxious, they want support, they're feeling confused, they're feeling blocked. Is the other thing I'm hearing, blocked. So they want the support of a psychic to help them along their path. The only danger with that is that people want magical thinking. There's a misperception about what a psychic can do. People think that a psychic is like God, godlike. They know everything. They can read minds. They can see into the future. That basically what people can do, they go to psychic and they want them to tell them what they want to hear, and it's quite a burden for a psychic because it's like everything's been put on their shoulders. And and I guess someone will come because they want you to tell them everything's going to be okay. That's what they want to tell you, and that's what some psychics do tell people. But sadly, people can be quite disappointed because it doesn't always turn out how the psychics told them. So you can go along to psychics and say, oh, you're going to marry the knight in shining armor, or you're going to marry this amazing woman, you're going to have all the money in the world, your health is going to be amazing, your children are going to be fine, your family's going to be fine, everybody's going to love you, shining health. Wouldn't it be wonderful if life was that simple?
It would be.
Yeah. I think that's what some people want to hear. Yeah, can be danger in psychic readings as well, which is not real. I've had people that psychics say the most terrible things, awful things like doom and gloom about things that aren't true.
So you get both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, you get both ends of the spectrum. So you can get things about someone's going to die. You should never. I'm not saying you don't pick up when someone's on the way out, but you got to be very mindful. You should never predict things like that. Really,
it can do a lot of damage. Yeah.
Well, yes. Saying that, you can actually help people and support people, because I know someone recently I had a sense about, and that actually the wife talked about this, her husband's health and what was going on, and I really felt strongly he needed to go to the hospital and he'd had a heart attack. That was my sense that I had. So I do get senses. I think this sort of thing can help people if done rightly, in a supportive way, in a mindful way. But a lot of people do want a magic wand. They want the fairy tale. And you've got to be very careful about that. And I
imagine it'd be easy to get sucked into that as well.
As a psychic, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, because you feel because you want to make people happy.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make people happy.
And they're often paying, right? So you need to
make them feel really good when they leave. And not only that, I can understand, but it's a warning there for the people going to seek out a psychic as well. Mm-hmm. Because Charlie's talked about the principles of spiritualism, and even if it's not the principles of spiritualism, we all have personal responsibility. Mm-hmm. Our choices. You might have seen Tyler Henry. People seen Tyler Henry. He often talks and says, your choices influence your future, and they do. So you've got to take personal responsibility as well. Yes, but sometimes people really want a fairy tale.
Okay, and so what can people expect
from me?
Yes.
So I'm never going to criticise another psychic, and I've heard that people have told me people have made some amazing predictions and it's all come true and everything, and that's great. There must be some. It's like not to journalists about fortune telling. I mean, some people have got prophetic abilities, so I'm not saying that people can't have some sort of talent that way. But for me, I say to people, I give them a choice. Do you want a psychic reading, and what I say is about guidance, or do you want a mediumship reading, which is connecting to the other side, or do you want a bit of both? Generally, yeah, it's really good to ascertain that before people come, because you can start picking up someone who's passed over that I don't care. Believe it or not, some people don't care about people who are passed over. And you start giving information they want to know about themselves, or other time people don't want to know about themselves, they just want to talk to loved ones. So it's really important for me. I'm not God. I like to ascertain what people want. At the same time, when people, before they turn up, I sort of prepare myself a little bit, and I quite often have people joining me from spirit before I do a reading. But I always ask them that question: how can I serve you? How can I help you? How can I support you? So that's the first thing. So if they want a psychic reading, I just call it guidance. So it's actually guidance. They do want guidance for your life. And they'll just say, yes, I want guidance. And now the really interesting thing, I've talked to you, for me, about like what psychic is. So it's what I'm picking up around someone. So I'll pick up what they do for a job. I'll pick up, there's an animal in their life, there's a child in their life, there's a sun in their aura. I can see that. I often say, you've got a son. I can feel you're close to your son. I'm getting your mum. I get that you're travelling, all sorts of things. So that's information I'm picking up, Kerry Marie. But what happens for me, I'll be completely honest, I call it a psychic reading and I call it guidance because I don't want to confuse the sitter.
What's the sitter?
The person getting the reading.
Okay.
So the person's getting the reading. So quite often, what will happen, I will clairaudiently, someone from, is it my spirit guides, or it could be someone they're familiar with, they've passed away, that'll give me information. And I'll pass the information. I'm hearing that you're travelling soon. I hear you're not happy, you're making decisions, you're having problems with your son or your daughter, you've got these challenges, you're looking at your financial situation. And they'll say to me, gosh, how do you know that? I think, oh gosh, she knows. I say, oh, you're good, you know things. So I don't know anything. I know zero. And I don't want to know anything about someone before they turn it. I don't want to know. Because it would actually interfere with the reading. It won't be like a pure reading. But often that's coming from the spirit world. I'll start off on I call it a psychic reading, giving them information that I'm picking up, and then I often find I get information coming through from the spirit world. I don't necessarily tell them that. I take my time, and then I'll say, look, I'm feeling this is coming from your grandmother, or this is coming from someone in the spirit, and I'll tell them that. And once I say that, usually they're saying, yeah, oh, that's interesting, and they want to know more about that, and I open up more about that.
Right. Okay.
So that's what people, and it can really help because I can help it just help push them or steer them in the right direction. So I might be getting something to thinking about living over in Australia, and that feels a really good thing. And I say to them, I feel like you want to live in Australia, and it feels like a really good thing. It feels like things opening for you. And I'll say, I'm getting a sense this could come from spirit or from what I'm feeling, that there's someone you know in Australia. There's a sister there, and it feels like a great thing for you to do. So I'll encourage them to do something if I feel it's right for them.
Right, okay.
Or I'll pick up something they could be doing with their work or their job. It's very hard when they demand it, though.
Sure, I can imagine.
Yeah, because I start searching and yeah. So that's that they get some sort of guidance, which is inspired by the spirit world, I believe.
Okay. And have you had any feedback from this guidance? Has that guidance helped people, or has it hindered people, or has that ever been feedback to you?
Loads of people, I'll be honest. It helps. I get really good feedback about people, which is really good because I try to be really authentic and real, and I don't give them nasty or scary information. I give them honest information, and I'll say to them, do you want me to be honest with you? And they'll say yes. I say, and I'm very mindful how I deliver it. So I might say to them, look, I know I feel you're getting surgery. Yeah, I feel that you think you're going to come through this really fast, and you're going to heal very fast. But what I'm feeling for you is that it's going to take longer, and you'll need some support. And don't rush this. So it could be something like that, or I might get that I don't feel it's the right time to sell your house right now. But that's your decision.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wait, I feel it could be much better for you. It's not the right time for you.
Mm-hmm.
Or it feels like, even though you don't like your job right now, it's working for you right now, and you're best to stay there. And further down the track, there'll be most likely something coming up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Or I might pick up even a relationship. It feels like you're going through a bad patch, and I do feel that you can get through this.
Interesting.
Yeah, so things like that. Yeah. People want to know about money quite often.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know about relationships.
The stresses in their lives.
Yeah, are they going to meet the person, or is a person right for them, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Really interesting is that I did a reading with someone recently, and they really wanted almost like fortune telling from me. It's quite a pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But what I felt, what they're wanting was going to come about and come true for them. I really felt that. And I felt there was going to be the relationship and all this sort of stuff. And I said to this lady, I don't always see this with people. I don't always see it. Or I might see a lady I saw as well. I can see every time she gets in a relationship, she sabotages it. And she knows that to be true.
Oh, right, okay.
I said, so this could happen to you again.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying a situation, if a person has a tendency to get into a relationship and sabotages it, I'll say, what about going to see a counsellor or someone to help you with this? Or I'll pick up, they've got a problem with their father,
Mm-hmm.
and so they've got a bad relationship with their father, and so they have a bad relationship with men. So I offer support, or I might see a problem with money. Why don't you go and see a financial advisor?
Mm-hmm.
Or I really think you need to go to a healthcare practitioner, or you need to look at your diet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm not allowed to prescribe and things like that, but I get a sense, one lady, I think you need to eat bananas. Bananas are really good for you.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
almost like a similar to a life coach in some ways, or something like that.
Yeah, it's a life coach, but it's not coming from me.
Yes, it's not coming from your professional background. It's
not coming from my brain. It's coming
Yeah.
from my senses. That's what I'm sensing.
Sure.
Or it's coming from the spirit world.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. So if you see, people say if it's coming from the spirit world, that's not a psychic reading, which is not. However, in my readings, I don't want to confuse people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say anybody comes to me for guidance or a psychic reading, it will be inspired by the spirit world, which is a form of mediumship.
Mm-hmm.
But I just make it really simple. For me, I actually give them what I'm getting and what I'm sensing as well.
Mm-hmm. No point confusing people with academics around it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And what tools can you use to aid you? Are you just purely going off their energy, or are you? I know tarot cards is something that's quite popular for this sort of stuff. Do you use those, and how do they work?
The situation is a lot of mediums don't like tarot cards, and the SNU really aren't into them.
Mm-hmm.
However, I started off with tarot cards way back years ago, and I'll be really honest, I'm not a tarot card expert. I don't want to do a podcast on the tarot cards because I wouldn't teach them.
Be good to get someone on that was an expert.
Yeah,
though.
be great.
Are there experts in tarot cards?
Oh, definitely some really good ones. So, but for me, I do use them, but I use them as a tool, and they're inspired by the spirit world. So I often lay them down before people come. So I actually say a prayer over the cards. I see white light. I shuffle them. I do. It's called the Celtic cross. I do the cross, and I know, and I work with the spirit world. They do guide. I don't like it when I have to use them a lot in a reading. It means that the person's asking me a lot of questions, direct questions, which means, gosh, it's like I don't want to search. So when I'm using them more, it's that I'm trying to get more information, which means that there's a bit of a struggle in the reading.
Is that because people are looking for absolute answers?
Yes, they are.
Rather than just
and they're paying me.
Yeah.
So if I said I'm not using it, I say to them, look, I'm using tarot cards more than I normally do.
Okay.
I prefer for it just to flow, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
There was a really interesting situation with tarot cards where some people understand everything about the tarot cards. It's like an academic about it. They understand the meaning of them, the placement of them, what they mean. I can read them. For me, I've got a very slim knowledge about that. For me, it's more the spirit world working through the cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I might see pictures in the cards. I might see things that it's more information, or occasionally there'll be a card that keeps coming up, and I know the spirit wheel's trying to say you need to look up, go deeper into the meaning of this, which I do sometimes, occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lady that turned up for me for a reading. It was hilarious, actually, quite a few years ago. And I did my normal reading before she turned up with the tarot cards, and she came in, and I gave her all this information, and I didn't touch the cards at all. I'm really pleased this happened. They stayed there, and I just got information, and we went for a whole hour, and she started questioning me about, what does that card mean? Just testing me. And what does that card mean? And why have you got that card there? Because I didn't even look at them. And I said to her, look, she felt really interrogating me. And I said, I don't really know. It's just a bit of a tool and they're there, but I don't really need them. I'm getting information. And she burst into tears. And she said, I said, I'm a tarot card teacher. And she said, I wish I could do what you do, but I can't.
Interesting.
So she can't. She could read them academically.
Yes.
But she couldn't do it with psychic energy and psychic information or the mediumship that works with them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
So, because anyone can go buy a pack of cards from, I don't know, where you buy them from a psychic shop.
Oh, you just see them from Whitcoulls, I think.
Oh, Whitcoulls, right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that just because you've got them and you've got an instruction manual how to use them, that they're going to work for you.
Oh, I think there's, like, academically they could work for you.
Okay.
I think there's some success for them. I've got a friend who's actually very psychic and got mediumship abilities, but she's an incredible tarot. In fact, she's done some training with me with tarot cards, and I got better with the cards from training with her. She's amazing with the cards. She's a lovely woman, and it's interesting. She does sometimes say I feel and stuff like that. When she says I feel, I believe her. At times she may. What we all do, she might think, well, I actually think this and blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, actually, I know you're thinking that, but I want you to go and read the cards. And she said, oh, the cards say something different. And so she's an incredible tarot card reader. In fact, I've sent people to her because some people just want tarot cards. They don't want, one lovely gentleman, he just wanted, I kept on asking me about the cards. And I said, you're wasting your money with me. I'm quite expensive. I'm not the cheapest around. I'm more into mediumship. I like talking to spirit world. I like talking to your mother in spirit. If you want to know what every card means, go and see this person.
Right.
Yeah.
So they kind of always want to take the human out of the loop.
Yeah.
And just
So tarot cards is a big question. For me personally, they're just a tool.
Yeah.
And I'm inspired by the spirit world.
Yeah.
And sometimes what I do with the tarot as well, and people will see me do this, I'll be given the information. So spirits give me the information they've said to me. And it may not be a spirit person, it's just my guides or spirit. And I'll get that you're going to sell your house or something. And I'll confirm it, and the cards in it matches perfectly. Perfectly.
Wow.
So I do it sometimes as a confirmation, especially when people have got a really important decision. And even though I've been given it as an absolute, it's when I do the cards. It just insurance in a way.
Yeah. Understand that.
Yeah.
Cool. And is there any other tools? Like I've seen pendulums and stuff like that before.
Yeah, the pendulums about working with energy. There's rune stones.
Do you use those?
I tried it. It's just too complicated, too academic for me. Rune stones. I have. My friend tried me once, and she got me to do some shells, and I scattered some shells, and I read the shells. I went into. It's almost like sorcering. So sorcering is with people look into a crystal. And it's like the crystal ball, and what it does, it takes their mind away, and it starts seeing things in the crystal ball.
Right.
And I just, it just takes your head out of it, and I can start reading. I'll go into the shell and I'll start reading things. So it distracts you, gets you into a creative brain, and I might see things in the shell.
Oh, that's so interesting. I
I
thought that was just something in Disney movies.
No, you can see things.
Right. Okay.
And yes, so sometimes I've got these cats down here. I might see something, and I'll take to the cat, and I say, "You really love cats." Yeah. I'll also see something in the physical. I know that person's really into that.
You'll be taken to something.
Or it's really interesting. The tarot cards. I mean, something about their green boats. Remember, there's something about the green boats. I think, it's something about you love green, or you love the earth, or there's something in the tarot card that I've never noticed before, and I've taken to something in the tarot card that's showing me something about them. So tarot cards are really interesting. The same as, it's a bit like psychic art, like you do autographs. It's sort of quite psychic as well. Yeah, I mean, if you gave me a leaf, I could read it psychically. If you picked a leaf and gave it to me, I could read it and start focusing on it and tell you about your life.
From a leaf?
Yeah.
Any just random leaf?
Yeah, if you picked it.
Wow. Is that like reading the tea leaves?
Yeah, the tea leaves are interesting. I've never done it, but actually I'd got my tea leaves read, and this girl said to me I was going to be on radio. She could see a radio aerial, and I had been.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of my predictions have come true. I've done predictions. It's just been inspired from spirits. So I think I told this lady she was going to change cities. She said it's unlikely. She's going to change job. She's going to be working for the same company, which happened because the company she worked for moved cities. She's going to buy a house, which she didn't think she could, but she could afford a house. She reconnected with someone very close to her. She didn't think that was going to happen. It all happened. And I had to trust what was given to me. And because you've got to remember she's also got some sort of responsibility, and she's got personal choice around this, but it all happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we can change our own future. So she's given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people want a psychic reading, I'd say come with an open heart, come with an open mind, realise you've got some responsibility, that psychics aren't God. And if it doesn't feel right, if you go to psychic, it doesn't feel right, then I suggest it's not. You should never go away feeling terrible. Even if someone is giving you information you're not, even if it's not 100%, it's a bit of a worry, it actually should register with you and it should feel right. If you go away feeling fearful, sad or upset, I'll pretty much say that I'm not quite sure if it's accurate, because my experience, that reading shouldn't be like that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess on the other end of the spectrum, if you go away just filled with absolute hope, is that with
most people? Hope's great.
Yes.
Hope is really good. If it's hope's a good word.
But you think that everything's just going to work out and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, if it's like the opposite. Magical thinking, like everything's going to happen, you could be really disappointed, because no one has a perfect life.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very wary of something that's absolutely perfect, like a fairy tale.
Right.
Yeah, so just remember, you just have your own, be discerning. Yeah. And what I'd like to finish on now is that if you like this podcast, please like it. Please subscribe. And I've really enjoyed talking to you today. And Happy New Year. Blessings and love, Kerry Marie. So today we discussed what to expect in a psychic reading. The most important thing to remember is to do your research. So do a reading or book a reading only with someone that you feel really comfortable about. Do some research, get some feedback or recommendations from somebody else, and also follow your own intuition, your own gut feeling, because you'll know if it feels right for you or doesn't feel right for you. Also be open to receiving information, but then make up your own decision. If it doesn't feel right to you, generally it won't be right to you. But sometimes you have to allow things to happen. So a psychic may give you some information, it doesn't quite make sense, so do your research once again. And after a while you might find out that it all comes true and it is right and it is all connected. Remember, at all times though, they're only guiding you to the best of their ability, and we have free will, so we've got to make our own decisions, have our own discernment within ourselves. But a psychic can really help you. Someone said to me recently, they came for a reading with me, it was very psychic, and they said to me, you know what, this confirmed everything that I knew. I knew I had to go to a family meeting and I knew I had to be quiet, is what they said to me. All I did is confirm that information. I confirmed the information about their business, about their financial situation and their health and their love life. That's quite often in their journey. So that's what a psychic reading is. It's about connecting into your aura, who's around you, and opportunities that are ahead of you, what's gone right for you, what hasn't. They may also refer you to a counsellor or a doctor, healthcare professional or finance advisor, lawyer. They're not lawyers, but it's a form of guidance. So take the information and you should be blessed by it. If it doesn't feel right, I would question it and I'd go to another psychic. So go and get confirmation from somewhere else if it doesn't feel quite right, because usually a reading should make you feel better. It should be uplifting, and it should give you clarity and peace as you go forward. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the better the channel is. Blessings and love, Kerry Marie.